Hello and welcome to Aspiring Creator, where we talk about all the behind the scenes stuff that happened in the previous week since I last shot my last Aspiring Creator episode. Now, I was meant to do this in Prague on a creators trip. I've just come back from a press trip with OnePlus, but my plan was to start featuring other creators, and I think I'm going to go down that route. It's just the logistics between like scheduling it in because it's trying to find time. And the thing with the press trips is they can be a bit hit and miss in terms of knowing how much spare time you've got. Sometimes you get like a whole afternoon to like go and explore the city and, you know, just catch up with the other kind of creators and media and press that are on the trip with you. And this was very much a case of no time whatsoever, which wasn't a bad thing. So yeah, come back from the OnePlus trip. It was OnePlus 15, which at this point I'm allowed to share photos of by the time you're hearing this podcast. So I can talk about it. The full review will be coming out soon. So stick around if you want to hear more about that. But in terms of the press trip, it was literally, we flew in on what day of the week it is. We flew out on Tuesday night, I think it was. No, Wednesday night. We flew out on Wednesday night. And then we were there for the entire of Thursday. So yesterday was very much started at 8 o'clock. We went for the briefing. So we sat down for the morning and heard all the specs and features and design and like all the new stuff, all the cool stuff that's coming with the OnePlus series. And then there was a couple of hours break, which was like an unexpected break. And at that point, I had nothing on me to shoot a podcast. So you just kind of sat there and, you know, eating lunch and chatting with a few friends and those kind of things. And then there was the walking tour of Prague, which was really cool. Until about half an hour later, it started raining, and it like everyone was like had all their all the phones out and cameras out and trying to do like camera comparisons. And bless him, Ben, lover of tech. I think Darius also was there. They were both trying to do camera comparisons. And you just couldn't after a while because like the weather was just raining so heavily that we were all completely drenched, and we were walking for 3 hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours. I can't actually remember. I think it was like from 2 till 5, 6 or so. And we were just all drenched. And obviously you can't do camera comparisons in the wet and rain because if the rain gets on the lenses of one phone but not the other phone, then it's not a fair comparison. I told Ben he should be look, this is a test of the hydrophobic coating on the camera lenses and which one's best, which he found funny, but yeah, didn't really help him at all. So we did that, and then we went to a boat for the evening, and 100 and something people got on the boat. The roof was over us to keep the rain out, and then the whole boat fogged up, so we couldn't even use that opportunity to take photos. So it was an interesting trip. Obviously, the whole afternoon and evening was meant to be like photo content capture times, but we couldn't really capture a huge amount because it was just everyone had like the little like plastic Mac things on, raincoat was on, and trying to just not get wet. So yeah, interesting trip. Flew back at 7 o'clock this morning, Prague time, landed at 8 o'clock UK time. I got up at what essentially was like 2:30 in the morning, just because I wanted to get home, and I'm off to Disneyland Paris tomorrow with my family for a family holiday. So that should be fun. So yeah, OnePlus event was good. And that's kind of how a lot of the press trips go a lot of the time. You don't really know what you're signing up for until you get there, and you get your itinerary and what's happening and when. Sometimes they're very much a lot of the time they're very much like an in and out. You're like in the country for a few days. You go to the places where you need to go to for the event, and then you fly back again. Sometimes you do get a day, a half day just to go and explore. It just depends on the brand and what they've got lined up for you. I will say OnePlus always organize fantastic trips. I've got a lot of time for OnePlus because just they run their trips so well. It's very well organized. Great locations. Unfortunately, the weather let them down a little bit this time, but yeah, cannot fault them. And the whole gift pack they give you is just fantastic. Obviously, the device, they've given us devices to start testing with. So yes, OnePlus was good. Next on my list, this is kind of going back to what I had on my list now. An interesting point of discussion in disclosing sponsorships in content, because there's a lot of creators that don't disclose sponsorships. There's also where is the boundary? Because there's NordVPN that I've mentioned before in the last week or the week before, that has this whole channel with a whole. They're pretending it's like a third party channel with a creator, and it's they're creating content for NordVPN, telling everyone how great NordVPN is, and doing comparisons with other competitor products, but being like, oh hey look, NordVPN wins, and so there's that whole thing. But then there's that one of the comments I think on that podcast was come on, everyone's doing this. It's but like there's FTC regs, like you have to disclose sponsorships and disclose like whether you're paid money to make the content. But surely if the brands are then making third-party channels to make it look like they own things, but this is a whole like weird windy road of like, there are companies that, comparison websites out there that, obviously compare lots of different products and then, earn money off affiliate links. But then those are getting bought up by various different companies who then own some of those products. So again, they can move their product up to number one and get more affiliate clicks. And are even earning affiliate income from people buying other products because, again, they own the site with the affiliate clicks. It's a really weird relationship. And then I've seen a lot of chatter this week talking about these, like Victoria Beckham on Netflix and how it's just a whole thing of product placement. And I watched like the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes of it or so. And you're right, it's I can't really watch it because it's literally just, hey, it's Victoria Beckham and here's her designing this product and that product and that product, and it's like a product showcase. But then like where do the boundaries lie between you having to sit there and disclose this is sponsored by so and so? Appreciate with Victoria, it's all about her, and so therefore all of her products fall into that. But all of these other like channels and websites, where should they be saying like this video is sponsored by? Now, as far as I am concerned, so as a UK creator, and I've again checked up this in the last few days to make sure it's still right, is as a UK creator, my audience is predominantly in the US because that's just like my biggest viewership on, certainly on YouTube, it's like vast majority of US. I've got, probably similar amounts on TikTok and Instagram Reels and all those kind of things. So if the content you are creating is viewed majority by one particular country, if that country is America, then you have to comply with FTC regulations. And especially if you're working with brands, if you're working with US brands and you're doing sponsored content or sponsored integrations, then you have to comply with FTC regs, not UK regs. But because we're in the UK, you kind of all have to comply with all of them. And these are, doing certain things like if you received any form of financial compensation or free product or gifted product, anything along those lines, you have to declare it in the video. And you have to, I think from memory, you have to do it audibly and like visually. So you have to say it in spoken words in the video. You can't just, put some text on the screen. You have to have some text on screen or, show people on the screen that it's sponsored. You have to have it in your description. I have to make it very, very clear, like to the point where someone cannot watch it and not know that it's not being paid or sponsored or gifted. So that's like, and as a lot of UK creators kind of miss that, they just do the, hashtag ad and think that's it. And it's not. Like, again, if you're creating for US audiences, you have to comply with the FTC regs. The problem here is that I've never seen anybody, certainly not the FTC, enforce anything on any creators. Like, I've not seen any creators that are, skipping these rules get, caught or done or like get told to fix things. The only backlash I've seen is when creators have, not declared something, and then the audience in the view, the comments have said like, hey, this looks like it's sponsored or was gifted. Can you just like clarify that? And I think it was, there was a video, I can't remember who did it a while ago, which was here, all the luxury gifts that I recommend. And they opened up the video saying like, hey, this isn't a sponsored video. It's not been sponsored. I'm allowed to say whatever I want. And then I think that was basically how they left it. And then, they did the 8 Sleep and lots of other very premium priced products. And then in the comments, I saw someone say like, did you buy these products or were they all gifted? And then he was like, oh no, they're all gifted. And then I noticed that maybe a day or two later, that comment got deleted. And then the description was updated to say, yes, just to clarify, these were all gifted products. Because it's all like bias, right? Because if you're going to make a video about something and you've got given it for free, then like you have to declare that because that's going to swing your bias somewhat towards that brand. And even if it doesn't swing your bias, you still have to declare it so that the viewer has to like have that knowledge of like, okay, this person said good things, but he did get it for free. So maybe I'll go and check out some other reviews just to see. It's really like slippery path, slippery slope. And I don't know what the answer is. It's one of these things where, again, people are getting away with not saying it. The best thing we can do as creators is to make sure we're doing the correct thing. It just seems there are a lot of bigger creators out there that are not doing that, and they're also like trying to work out ways of like having to not declare something because actually no, they paid for a factory tour where I happened to receive the product, and we did that, and now here's the unbiased, unsponsored review of the thing they gave me at the factory tour. So there's some really odd things going on there. There was also another video I saw last week or this past week on VidSummit from I can't remember the channel's name. It was like 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, saying, "Is VidSummit worth the $1,000 it costs to go there?" And it was really interesting because it echoed everything I thought about VidSummit. And I know I've spoken about this in last week's video or the week before. But there were some things in there that were new to me that I learned, and that kind of, again, has skewed my opinion even further. So VidSummit is about $800 to $1,000 to buy the ticket, depending on whether you buy it early or whether you leave it late. This year, for some reason, they kept the price to buy a VidSummit ticket at that early bird price, but pretty much the entire year, because I actually left it maybe like a month or two before VidSummit to actually buy the physical tickets. Because I bought my flights first to make sure they were booked in, so I didn't have any issues with getting there. And then I knew I would always going to be able to buy a ticket. VidSummit has never sold out because I think they are very, very keen to get money with VidSummit. And this is kind of where it happens, because it feels like VidSummit is very much a bit of a cash grab sometimes. So what was in this woman's video was that apparently they're charging vendors $50,000 to be a sponsor and be a vendor of the events. So, that's a good, there was probably 10, 15, 20 brands sponsoring there, I think. So that's a good, $1.5, $2 million, $2 million worth there and then. And it felt very, very sponsor heavy. So if you think about the sponsor, obviously all paying to be there, everyone's paying to be there with their ticket, and there's a good, hundreds, well, not 100, there's probably more, probably like 1,000 or so, maybe a few thousand people that have paid tickets to be there. So it's a good few $1 million they're making out of this thing. And obviously you've got venue costs and that kind of stuff. But in the previous venues, when they were in LA, they were spending a lot more. They were buying food in for lunches. We had we had Beast Burgers, Mr. Beast Burgers for lunches. They had, what's the water, the flavored water that's, I can't remember what it's called, like Liquid Death. They had like endless supplies of Liquid Death everywhere that you could just help yourself to for free. And even on the last day, they did giveaways, and the giveaways were very much walking out on stage. They'd be dishing out like PlayStation 5s and aperture lights. They have like a stack of aperture lights, and they'd just be giving them away and giving them out and things. And there was none of that this year. It was the giveaway at the end of the event this year was, hey, sign this form on the website, and random people will be chosen. And all the prizes were like the sponsors' gifted products. So I guess, you paid $50,000 to be a sponsor, but you also then have to donate a prize to the giveaway at the end. And they were it felt very much a bit of a cash grab, especially when they're not paying speakers. That was the other thing. So $50,000 to be a vendor. They're not paying speakers because it's the whole like, hey, exposure from talking on stage at VidSummit, and you can say you're a VidSummit speaker. And so like, it does, to me, feel like it's probably, for me, I would say, as someone who's been in this industry for a while, it's probably not worth going, and I don't think I'm going to go again. Lots of my friends that, have been there previously that I kind of went there to catch up with, lots of them weren't there this year. There was a handful. It's nice to see them again. But again, most people, when they put their hand up to say how long they've been there, it was their first year. So again, that really changed like the feeling of the room and like who was there to talk to. And when I say it was their first year, there are obviously a lot of like new channels there, but there were still a lot of first timers that have established channels. But lots of the content was geared towards like the beginners and starting up, and how to stand out in a busy world of YouTube and those kind of things. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm probably not going to go to VidSummit. I might try some of the other kind of creator events. If anything, for me, like even CES is such a good opportunity. The challenge with CES is that everyone's there to work. Essentially, all the tech YouTubers are there kind of doing brand deals, and we're just rushing back and forth. But there's a YouTube creator collective event that was normally on, and it's always the evenings. Like we always find time to go out for a steak, and we've got that group of kind of techie creator friends there. So it's a good time to actually go and hang out, swap stories, and chat about sponsorships and brand deals and how to manage the channel and how to make so many videos and this kind of stuff. Which leads me on to my next point, which was stop comparing yourself to people without kids, because it's so easy to look at people's output and see like all the shorts they're posting, all the reels they're posting, the YouTube videos, the long form videos, and you very quickly need to remember that they've not got kids. And I feel like kids just diminishes your output by like, I don't know, like 80%, I feel. And Darius, a friend of mine, was chatting about this on the trip we've just come back from, because he's gone from working a full-time job to doing like 3 videos a week, to now having a full-time job, doing YouTube full-time and doing like 1 video a week and struggling to do more than one. And it's that whole thing. I've now got loads more time to do it. Stuff's just taking a lot longer. And there is no real answer to that. It's just, you obviously want to try and refine things and maybe focus on making the better videos that actually take longer to make as well, rather than just kind of putting a load of stuff out there and just seeing which one hits. Darius has definitely got a format of like the camera comparisons do really well for him and the zoom tests do well for him, which for him is great, because those, the camera comparisons are a lot of work because that's a long form video, and the zoom tests are like, I've seen him in the airport doing a zoom test, and like as I've got off the plane at the other end, he's posted it already, and I'm like, I haven't even uploaded the footage off my SD card from my camera yet, and he's actually posted a video and it's got like a load of views and those kind of things. He has kids, but there are a lot of people that don't have kids, and they are just in the studio all day, every day. They're working up until like 10, 11 p.m. at night, editing overnight and pulling all-nighters. And just like, as a parent, you can't do that. And like, those many people, they get to cover like loads more products. And because they're covering more products, they get more press invites and more access and just this whole thing. And I definitely have to keep remembering, reminding myself that like enough is enough. And we've just got a sponsored shorts, or 3 sponsored shorts, which is something we're shooting over a weekend in like later in the year. And I've started looking at it going, actually, like we've got that, but do we need to do the long form video that week? But I think because that doesn't technically interfere with what we're doing in the week, we don't need to kind of cancel that week's long form video. So we'll do the shorts, we'll offload that to a remote editor, and we will, carry on doing the long form video. It makes sense. But yeah, just like, what's the whole saying? Like, comparison is the thief of joy, or whatever it is. Just when you compare yourself, and this is the same thing when you're looking at like thumbnails and click-through rates and average view duration and average view percentage, like all your YouTube stats, all the YouTube gurus that say this is a good click-through rate, this is a good AVD, and this is good anything. It doesn't really mean anything. Like, every channel is different, so the only thing to focus on is what is your click-through rate, what is your average view duration. Okay, now try and improve it. Like, try and improve on your data rather than like someone else's data. And there is no like standard click-through rates. Particularly when you're looking at different niches on YouTube, like different categories, like tech's going to perform differently to lifestyle as it does to beauty and fashion and like cooking and all sorts of other things. So just, look at your own data and try and improve on what you've got. And that's the best thing you can do. And then like the last one, this is gonna be a nice short one this week, because I haven't had much time, but this is the last one, which was, again, kind of on that topic of like not being able to like do the outputs, and chatting with a few creators on this trip again. There are creators out there that they just do short form content. And so when brands come to them and talk to them about like sponsored content, or do you want to review this device? Then like the normal thing for them is like a short form video. Whereas as a predominantly long form creator, whenever I feel like saying that to a brand of like, we can't do a long form video, but we can do a short. And then the brands don't seem as interested in it at that time because, it's a long form video and now it's a short. But these guys are making shorts, and it's the thing, it's a short. And typically the shorts get more views anyway, particularly with the type of devices. And so like the thought process now is like definitely sticking with the flagship devices as like our main channel videos with the long form videos, and then doing like the short form videos to feature other brands. You got the flagships like the Googles and Pixels and Apples and those kind of things. OnePlus is, I would still count that, because it's very difficult. Because, at what point do you make a video about Honor and Oppo and, Honor and Xiaomi and Huawei and like all these other kind of, Chinese brands? You don't really know until like you make the video, and then the video tanks, or it performs really well, and you don't really know until you've done it. But with the process we're going through of one, good long form video per week, you don't really want the risk of, that video is going to tank, because then that's, a sponsor that's unhappy because they've had an integration in a low performing video. And it's taken the slot of a video that you could have made that would have performed a lot better. And so we're looking at, so short form videos for those kind of devices. And then on the basis of which of those shorts perform well, you can then look at, hey, actually, no, it makes more sense to do a long form video. And that's what we did with our dynamic islands. And I know it's an Apple video, but we had some shorts that went semi-viral with like, here are, 10 ways to use a dynamic island. and then we did another one. But we did, Samsung has a dynamic island that performed really well, and then we did another short that was 10 more ways to use the Apple dynamic islands, and those were all like banging away and doing really, really well. So we finally went to make a long form video about the dynamic island, which has performed really, really well. So it's like using the short form data to then inform the long form content you should make. I feel that's like a very sensible idea. The bit that then gets a bit trickier is if you're reviewing the flagships. That's really simple when you're doing the Google Pixel, flagship Pixel 10 Pro series. You've got the iPhone Pro series. You've got the S25 Ultra series. But then there's also a lot of interest and audience for like the base models. So the base S25 or the base Pixel, the base iPhone. And then you've got the accessories like the AirPods and all the kind of new accessories, even like MacBooks, like reviewing the base model MacBook, the base model MacBook Pro, the base model iPads versus the higher spec model, because I find a lot of people don't need, particularly nowadays, they don't need to spec up their Macs and get all the extra memory and storage and everything. They can probably live with the base model, and so that's probably like an exception to the rule where we could look at new devices coming out. Let's do the MacBook. Interestingly enough, there is a way that I saw an article like yesterday, I think it was, where someone was tearing Tom the Tech Chap down because which does sound a bit weird the way why he did it, but he did a MacBook, the M5 MacBook Pro review. He compared it. He was like, "Oh, look, the performance is way, way better than on Cyberpunk than this other Apple device." And the other Apple device was like a MacBook Air. So he's comparing an M4, I think it was MacBook Air, to a MacBook Pro. So, well, you're not really like comparing apples to apples there. The approach this year, very much with and I like this with Apple, is when they're marketing stuff, it feels a bit unfair because they're going, "Oh, hey, it's 100% better performance than the M1 MacBook Pro when we were on the M5." So it's not like, well, what's the performance difference between the M4? But they know it because they know they're targeting M1 owners. So they're trying to get the M1 owners to update to the M5. And there's loads of other benefits you get, the high refresh screen and all sorts of other things. So there's lots of other things they get. So they know, like, hey, when you're marketing this, when you're making videos to your audience and your viewers, like, this is the target market we're going for, which is great because without that kind of guidance from Apple, you don't really have much reason to like talk about. I'm probably not going to make a video about the M5 MacBook Pro because I have an M4 MacBook Air. I'm fully happy with it. I have an M3 Max MacBook Pro, which is now being used by a video editor. Like, there's no reason for me to upgrade, and because I don't have a reason to upgrade, I struggle to then make the video that tells anybody else to upgrade, because it's just it's like the iPhones. It's like it's the same thing again, just slightly better. But again, by not doing those, you're then missing opportunities. And this is the whole reason, like, we go back on, like, if you're not making the videos, you're then missing the opportunities. And it's trying to find like the good videos to make that are like worth doing. I'm also going to finish on one thing I've just remembered as well. So I apparently pissed off a brand because so this is a brand I've worked with before a few times, and the rep that we work with, we were chatting back and forth, and he was just like, "Oh, hey, I think like your like dedicated video rate is normally a bit more nowadays, isn't it? Because if other people are paying you more, then I'd love to pitch you at that rate as well." And we've started working with this new agency, so I was like, "Well, hey, but the new agency are pitching us at like $25,000 or $22,000 or whatever it is for a dedicated video. So like, yeah, what do you think?" And he was like, "Cool, yep, I'll let the brand know that." And I wasn't too sure because that feels like quite a, we've done a video for them before. They paid what they paid, which is vastly less than that price. But because he was like, "Cool, no, I'll let him know," I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, if he's gonna do that, then great. That'd be nice, and see where it goes, and maybe we can negotiate somewhere in the middle." And he came back yesterday or the day before, being like, the brand were really pissed off with you for that price. They were really like upset. And I was just like, I didn't tell you to go and pitch the price. It just felt like you were very comfortable doing that. So cool. And we were a few bit of back and forth, and we've negotiated down and brought our price down and met somewhere in the middle. And we've increased our price from what we were before, but not up to the asking price, so to speak. But that is very much what negotiation is all about. But to find out that I pissed them off was one thing. But also, they were apparently using Social Blade. And their reasoning for like being pissed off was like, well, we've looked on Social Blade and we can see like the channel growth has slowed down and the views have like not flatlined is the wrong word, but the views have like leveled out. And first of all, Social Blade isn't really the most reliable tool to do that with anyway. But secondly, like the channel growth thing is something we actually talked about a while ago before, and like we've purposely, to a certain point, like slowed down the channel growth. We're no longer chasing the we're not looking for outlier videos. So what we used to do was we look for high performing videos on other people's channels and go, cool, is there enough evidence to say if we made that video, it's going to perform well for us as well, and we can make our version of that video. And we used to do that, and it was great. And we got some great videos and great views out of it, and great subscribers and all that kind of stuff. But it kind of killed a lot of creativity, because we'd get a new product that's coming out and then go, is there any evidence that we can make a video about this? And if there is no evidence, then we're not going to make a video. And so like a lot of videos didn't get made by doing that, because like we didn't have the evidence to say the videos perform well. So now we're not doing that approach, and we're going, well, cool, we're now going to make videos about what we think we want to make videos about. And we'll accept that the views might be slightly lower and the subscribers will be slightly lower. And I've got to the stage now where we've got a certain format behind our videos, and I want to stick to that format because that feels like it's our format and how we do things. And again, that's going to be, it's less clickbaity and it's going to draw less views and less subscribers. But like, that's how I want to grow the channel. That's the kind of audience I want to attract. And so for them to go like, oh, your subscribers have like slowed down. It's like, yes, I know. But also like, what does my increase of subscribers have to do with you? To, not being rude, but like, it doesn't really matter. And you've got all these brand gurus saying like, well, views don't matter. And so like, well, views do matter to a certain point for a lot of brands, and a lot of brands care about views. But for me, like the views kind of leveling out on the channel is a good sign, because it means, we've, settled down. We found like our little, like, we found our place on the internet. We found the video ideas that work well and, regularly do pretty well on the channel. And we're not looking for explosive growth. We're not looking for viral videos. And by the way, we've already driven, 500,000 views to one of our previous videos we made for you. So it's like, well, and you definitely didn't pay what, 500,000 views probably would have cost for that one. So it was like a bit interesting to hear that, and, very upsetting to hear that I'd upset them, because, never want to upset a brand. That's not something that I set out to do. They're a great brand to work with, lovely bunch of people. Would love to make more videos for them. We hopefully are making more videos for them with this one we've agreed. But just that whole negotiation point. And so it's where I guess we're out of it. And so this wasn't my agency that was negotiating. I just literally just dropped in and said, well, hey, this is the kind of price our agency are pitching us at nowadays. Which even to me like feels high, but again, guided by the agency, and this is kind of what they're getting elsewhere and seeing with all the brand deals they're doing. And there's obviously some negotiation where you like, this is my price, this is your price, let's like meet in the middle somewhere. So yeah, hopefully that hasn't damaged the relationship at all. If you're watching, super sorry, really apologetic. Like obviously we don't want to upset anyone when we're trying to negotiate things, but again, we've got a new editor. We're trying to like build the team and grow the channel and do things right and make good videos and make good edits and like have enough time to spend on things. Like something we've been fighting against constantly, and we're still fighting against it now, is like feeling rushed a lot of the time. Like feeling the edits are feeling rushed, and shooting the videos feels rushed. So being able to get more money for the brand deals and sponsorships and the dedicated videos means we can get that clear full week to sit there and make that full video, or the clear 2 full weeks. It's going back to the Paddy Galloway's thing that I saw at VidSummit 2, 3, 4 years ago, whatever, which was like post less and grow more. So post less videos, but make them better videos, because you've got more time to spend, rather than just rushing around and posting like loads of videos all the time and just running around like a headless chicken. And like you're hoping to do like, well, hey, if I post like 50 videos, then some of them will do well. That's great. But also some of them will really, really tank. And instead post like 10 videos or 5 videos. And because you'll have so much more time to spend on them, they will just look a lot better. So I will leave it there for now. And I am actually going to be on holiday next week. So there'll be no video next week or no podcast next week. So until then, I will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next episode of Aspiring Creator. Thank you. Bye-bye.